You were not meant to be a slave to the grind. You were not meant to trade your life force for money. You can escape gravity. You can unlock your life. You got this. Let's go.
Hello and welcome to Unlock Your Life. This is your host, Jennings Smith. You can't BRRR an apartment complex, can you? I don't know. You've heard of the BRRR strategy if you're a single family investor, and if you haven't, here's what it is. You buy something, you renovate it, you raise rents, and you refinance it, and you repeat. BRRR, as many R's as you want to have on there. But the goal is to get your down payment back so that you can buy something else. You can use that capital again and redeploy it while collecting assets, keeping them for cash flow, keeping them for future appreciation. And everybody that's in single family homes knows this is what you want to do. But my question was, can you do the same thing with apartment complexes? What if I could do the same thing with a 12 unit or a 32 unit or a 100 unit? Would that work? Why not? What are the drawbacks? How does it work? These are questions that I had, and I want to talk to you about this and break it down because, yes, it is possible, and I've actually done it, and we're going to teach you how to do it because not every deal fits this criteria. In fact, most don't. And there's also some other risk factors you need to think about when you're going to undertake a deal like this. But by the end of this episode, you're going to understand the math on how it works with real life examples. You're going to see where it doesn't work. And you're going to see what happens if you're in a changing rate environment like we've been in the last 3 years. And so does it work in that? And should I still do it today? Will it work with the way interest rates are now? We're going to get into all that. But let's talk about a single family BRRR. Let's start with what you know. Okay, so if you're looking at something that's going to fit the BRRR model, can you buy a house in a $200,000 neighborhood for, $180,000 and hope to fix it up and refi it? Well, the answer is absolutely not. You are going to be stuck in that house and it's just going to be a buy and hold. And it's not going to really gain appreciation for probably 5 or 10 years or longer, depending on the market that you're in, maybe never. There are a lot of markets in smaller areas, Midwest, they cash flow okay, but there's really not much appreciation. So the BRRR model works where you can go to a $100,000 neighborhood and you got to buy a $200,000 neighborhood and you buy a $100,000 house and it's messed up, right? Maybe it's gutted, it needs a new kitchen, needs renovations, maybe the roof's leaking, maybe it's had a fire. There's a major problem usually and it needs to be renovated, right? That's the R in the BRRR model. So you do all this work, maybe you buy the house, you got your down payment, you plow $50,000 into the rehab and you get it fixed up. And now it's worth $200,000 because everything else in the neighborhood is worth $200,000. And that's the problem with single family is everything is dictated by what are the comps of the surrounding area. So if everything around is worth $200,000, I don't care if you put the nicest kitchen in the world, you got the Taj Mahal and gold-plated toilets, that house is only going to be worth about $200,000. So it's worth $200,000 now. You can go to the bank, appraise it. They'll loan you 75%, maybe 80%, and they'll give you your $150,000 back. So you can pay off your first basis of $100,000. You pay back your renovation funds. You've got your cash, and you can go buy another one. That's the BRRR model. So does it work in apartments? And the answer is it absolutely does, and it actually works better. And here's why. Because in single family, you are dictated by what my neighbor's house is worth. In multifamily, in self-storage, in retail, in commercial assets, what dictates the value of that property? Well, just like any other business, which that's what this is just buying a business, it's dictated by how much money does this business make? So in apartments, we call that NOI, net operating income. That's the profit that the building makes. So to calculate your NOI, you take your gross rents and you minus out everything, right? Your expenses, your taxes, your insurance, your management fees, your maintenance and repairs, all that, your vacancy, delinquency, bad debt. And that leaves you with your NOI. Now, you don't factor your debt service in on NOI. So don't make that mistake that you're taking away your mortgage payment. That doesn't count. Imagine you bought a property with all cash and you paid your expenses, how much money would you make? That's what the NOI is. And if you can increase that NOI, if you can increase the profitability of the apartment complex, you are going to force the appreciation on that apartment complex because the next investor is going to look at that and say, hey, these guys are making 100 grand a year. I'm willing to pay X amount because it makes $100,000 a year. Whereas with rental homes and single family homes, your best buyer is not really looking at that as a rental, most likely. They're your retail buyer, and they're just looking at, hey, what's this going to appraise for? Will the bank give me the loan? Are the other houses around this worth 200 grand? I'll pay 200 grand. With apartments, the sky's the limit, right? Or really the market rents are the limit and what you can do with the property. But you can change that profitability by finding a deal that has that value add and then performing the value add. Okay, so let's break down how this deal could work. These are real numbers. I've done this many times. I'm going to use a simple deal that's easy to understand. So imagine you have a 40-unit complex and it's in middle of nowhere, maybe Ohio, Indiana, whatever, somewhere you can get something for $50,000 a unit. So $2 million, 40 units, and they are collecting $20,000 a month in rent. And they're paying their taxes, they're paying their insurance, and by the time it's all said and done, they're netting about $10,000 a month. So this building makes $120,000, and you're paying $2 million for this property. However, you see potential. You see that this guy's owned it for a long time. Maybe his rents are $150 under what everybody else is charging. He hasn't renovated anything in a long, long time. There is premiums you could get. Like if you renovated maybe 20, 30% of these units, you could get another $75 premium. Maybe he's paying for all the water and sewer and trash, and he's not billing the tenants back for those charges. He's just eating them. And so you see opportunity to make this property more valuable. Okay? So let's check out what that looks like and how you do it. So we got 4 problems to fix on this property. 1, we need to increase the unit rents to market rate. So some people are going to leave, some people are going to stay. Some people maybe have just signed a lease and it's going to take 11, 12 months to even be able to renew their lease. But we need to increase all the units to market rent. And we want to do this strategically so that everybody doesn't leave at once, because people are definitely going to leave. Secondly, we need to implement a utility reimbursement. Typically, this runs from $35 to $50 a month so that they're covering the water bill and the trash service that you're providing for them. Maybe we're going to, problem number 3, we're going to renovate some of these units to get a premium rate. I'm not going to go in there and renovate 90% or 100%, but I'm going to renovate 30%, 50% and see what the market will bear, right? If I've got new floors, new cabinets, new counters, new appliances, new fixtures, can I get a $75 premium over the $150 that they're already under market rent? Is it worth it? And then can I increase the occupancy? Can I run this thing at 95% to 99% and not have a lot of big vacancy costs and delinquency costs from bad debt and bad tenants? So this is going to take time, right? Some tenants will leave. That opens you up to be able to do renovations. Some are going to stay. Some you got to wait for their leases to expire. So this is going to take you at least 18 to 36 months. And you got to factor in, it has to be stabilized and have good financials for 3 to 6 months for a bank to look at that and say, okay, this property, we can reasonably assume that it's going to continue to make this much money every month because you've got 3 months or 6 months or 9 months of data of it making that much. And so when you're done with your value add and your renovations and you turn the rent roll over, you're really not done. You still have to let it operate for 3, 4, 5, 6 months to show that to the bank and prove it. Okay, but in 2 to 3 years, we should be able to achieve the following in this example. We're going to move all 40 units to market rate. Remember, this is going to do over 2 years. Okay, that's going to increase the revenue by $72,000 a year. We're going to capture the utilities. We're going to charge $35 times 40 units times 12 months. That's going to increase the revenue by another almost $17,000 a year. We're going to renovate 30%. We're going to renovate 15 units to get a premium rate of $75 additionally on those 15 units, and that'll increase the revenue by another $13,500. And we're going to move the occupancy from 85% to 95%. We're going to operate it a little bit cleaner, a little bit tighter, keeping it full through doing promotions and being fast on our turns. So now we've moved from collecting less than $600 a month when we bought it per unit with a 15% vacancy to now collecting $773 a month on 25 of the units and $850 a month on the 15 premium renovated units. And we only have 5% vacancy. That brings our total potential revenue from 20 grand a month to $32,000 a month, right? So a pretty large increase, almost, over 50%, okay? So 32,000 a month, you multiply that by 12, but remember, you've got expenses. You've got a vacancy, you've got delinquency, you've got management fees, you've got repairs and maintenance, you've got all sorts of stuff that just adds up. So we're going to factor in another 50% for all those expenses. So whatever we're collecting, we're cutting that in half. And if you're operating C-class buildings, it's going to be around there. By the time you factor in the delinquency, the vacancy, and the expenses, it's going to be there. And sometimes it's even higher, depending on where you live or where the property is with the taxes and insurance. So you really got to understand what that expense ratio is going to be. Don't just say, oh, it's going to be 50%. Could be less, could be more. But in this instance, we were running about 50%, 45% expense ratio, 5% vacancy, 50% total. But now we're moving our net operating income from $120,000 a year. Remember, when we were collecting 20 grand a month, half of that's 10 a month. The NOI was 120. Now we're moving it to 192. We've increased the profitability and the value of the building by 62% by implementing these changes. Now, it took us 2-3 years to get there, but we've now got a property that's generating quite a bit more, $72,000 a year in income more than it was. So is that property more valuable than it was? I mean, absolutely. Right? Because this is how your potential new buyer or the bank is going to evaluate your property. So if we've increased the NOI by 62%, we've increased the valuation by 62%, that takes our value from $2 million to $3.2 million, $3.24 million. So it's increased quite a bit. And we can try to sell it. Now, what it appraises for and what it sells for isn't always the same. It may not sell for 3.2, but it'll probably appraise for that. Now we're going to take the property back to the bank. We're going to say, hey, look at what we've done. Look at our rent roll. Look at what we're collecting. We were only making 10 grand a month before. Now we're making 17 a month. Look at how much more profitable this property is. They'll say, okay, well, we'll loan you. Maybe they'll loan you 75% of the value, but maybe the debt service coverage ratio is tight, right? They want to keep within their ranges. So for this example, let's say they only loan us 65% of the appraised value. That's pretty safe. Most banks are definitely going to do at least 65% leverage on a deal, on a refinance. But anywhere between the 65 to 75%, we're good, right? Because 65%, that gives us a loan of $2.1 million. Our purchase price was $2 million. We spent $100 grand, remember, on those rehabs. So we've got a little bit more cash in the deal. But we pay off our original loan of $1.5 million and we get our down payment back. We get our renovation back, which is $600 grand. Oh, and by the way, we don't pay taxes on that, remember, because that's a loan. Even if they're giving us more money than we put into the deal, it's still a loan. And so it's not a taxable event. We don't have to pay taxes on that. And we can roll that money into our next deal, tax-free. So now where are we at? Well, we have no money in the deal. All chips are off the table. We don't have risk in the deal anymore other than, being foreclosed on and losing the property. We are not going to lose cash, even if we sold it at break even. Even if we just sold it at the loan amount, we're not losing any money on this deal. Number one rule of investing, don't lose money. Number two rule, refer to rule one. That's from Warren Buffett. So we can use that 600 grand that we pulled out now to buy another deal. We can leverage that to buy another $2 million deal or $2.5 million deal and keep the momentum going. But also don't forget, we still own that property. We still have the monthly cash flow off that property. We're still paying down our mortgage every month. We still have inflation working for us. Every time they print dollars and everything gets more expensive, well, guess what? Our debt stays the same and our rents go up. Maybe our expenses go up some too, but in the long run, our property is continuing to appreciate while we're also getting the tax advantage of depreciation. We can write off our gains because we're depreciating the property. And the property continues to go up in value. And in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, who knows what this property will be worth. But it's definitely going to be worth more than $3 million that it's worth today. All of that with now $0 in the deal. This creates an infinite return. Okay, so Now you see how it works, right? The BRRRR model works just as well with apartments as it does with single family, but you have to find things where you can increase the value. Just like when you're doing a BRRRR model with a single family, you got to find something that's in a $200,000 neighborhood that you can get for $100,000. Well, in this instance, it's not exactly the same process to find it, but what you're looking for is there room to grow this NOI? So if you're buying something that all the rents are already at market rent, everything's already renovated, it's already buttoned up, it's already beautiful, and you got to pay market rent for that, is that going to be a deal that you can BRRRR? The answer is obviously no, right? So don't look for those deals. If you're looking for a BRRRR deal, don't look for those, premium priced, renovations done, this thing's managed to the T, it's perfect, and they're squeezing already as much NOI out of it as they can. That's one that, leave that for the hedge funds, leave that for the institutional money to buy. You're looking for something that they haven't had any rental increases in 5-10 years. They're 100% full because they're so cheap. The owner is not really fixing anything. They're not putting anything in the money. They're not testing the market. They're not renovating units. And really you should have 3 to 5% vacancy because you should be consistently testing what does the market bear. If I'm getting 850 and I have 2 vacancies, well, then I should be trying to get 870 for my next lease. I should try to get an 875, 890 for my next lease. Instead of just renting it cheap and staying full, you want to be consistently testing that market. And this is something that we revisit on our portfolio every week. We're adjusting our rental prices to make sure that we're capturing where the market is. And sometimes we got to lower the rents to get them full, but we always know right where that baseline is. But the point is, you've got to find something that has the ability to move the value up, okay? So if that's not there, then this deal will not work for the BRRRR model where you can refinance out your down payment. Now, in some deals, maybe they're close and you can only refinance out half your money. That's still good. You got $300,000 back and you can go put that into another deal or put it back in your bank account or whatever you want to do. So it doesn't always have to be 100%. Sometimes it can swing the other way. I mean, our Tulsa, Oklahoma deal, we were all in for $8 million. That was rehab, investor money, primary loan, and it appraised for over $12 million. The bank gave us a loan of $9.5 million. And so we got all our investors' money back plus $1.5 million. Now, wisely, we invested a lot of that back into the property. We replaced all the roofs. We fixed a lot of air conditioners, but we did pull out $500,000 tax-free, which was honestly really, really cool. So not only did we get our $2.4 million down payment back, we also got another $500,000 in cash back out that we can redeploy into whatever we want to while still owning the property. So now that you see how it works and that it can work, hopefully a light bulb's going off in your head, because if you're already doing this with single family, this is not rocket science. This is no different. It's just a little bit different concept, but it's not any harder. But you maybe are asking yourself, well, sure, Jennings, it's not any harder. Well, how do I find deals like this? How do I get the loan? I can't get $1.5 million or $2 million loan or $5 million loan. How do I have the down payment? I don't have $500,000 sitting around. I don't have $1 million sitting around. How do I solve those problems? Like single family BRRRR, yeah, I got $30,000 for the down payment. I got $50,000, $100,000 maybe, but I don't have these big dollars and I can't get these big loans. So yes, I would like to do this. Think about this logically. You buy a 40 unit. How hard would it be for you to find 40 flips, to find 40 single family homes that fit this criteria, to get 40 different loans, to have 40 different down payments, to manage 40 different contractors, 40 different renovations, tax bills, roofs, air conditionings, everything, versus one deal? Is that one deal going to be just as easy as a single family? Maybe not. Is it going to be 40 times harder? Absolutely not. Is it 40 times more profitable? Yes, it is. This is why I want you to start thinking differently and start thinking bigger. Let's go back to those problems. What if you could find deals like this? What if you did start building relationships? What if you started looking for deals like this? Are you even looking for things like this that are coming across your plate? Do you have relationships with brokers? Do you know the apartment owners in your town and the surrounding towns? Are you making offers to them? If you're a wholesaler, you're out there making offers on single family homes every day. Are you making offers on multifamily? Do you know what to offer? Right? So what if you got comfortable around that and you started to generate lead flow? Next point is the loans. I could not get a loan when I first started. I'll tell you guys, I was breaking even. I was making a living, and that was about it. There was no way I could go out and get $1 million loan, no matter how badly I wanted to close an apartment deal. But there's a lot of people out there that can. There's a lot of people out there that can sponsor loans. And when we formed the deal room, we invited about 40 of them into our group to be a part of the deal room because I didn't want to be the only loan sponsor. And I wanted to be a lot of people there, a lot of opportunity, a lot of people looking for this. Because if they can get involved in something, have you do the work, maybe you're even bringing the down payment, and all they got to do is sign the loan and get equity in the deal. If they know you and they trust you and they like the deal, they're open to doing that. And so this problem, even though it seems maybe unsurmountable, it can be solved easily because in commercial, when the bank is looking at the balance sheet of the people, the guarantors on the loan, as long as there's one guy there that's the 800-pound gorilla that can clear this loan, you're going to get the loan. We've closed loans with people that had a bankruptcy on their record, and we still got the loan because we had people in the loan that were great, that could afford it and could qualify. So if you've got somebody on your team that can qualify for that loan, you're going to get that loan. That loan problem is not as hard of a problem to solve as you may think. The money, the down payment. Well, in my specific instance with my 42 unit that we bought for $2 million, we had the seller finance our down payment, right? In other deals, I've raised the capital. I've gone to 5 different people and they've pitched in $100,000. I've posted out on social media, my stories, in my Facebook group. Hey, I'm putting together deals. If you want to get on my investor list, reach out. And I have people reach out and I have phone calls with them and they commit. They commit money to the deals because guess what? They're going to make money. If you're thinking about an investor, who wouldn't like to put $100,000 in a deal, make a return while their money's in the deal, get it back in 2 to 3 years, and then they get to keep holding that and get all the benefits of it in the future, and they still got their $100,000 back. And they didn't sign on the debt. They didn't have to operate anything. And they can redeploy that $100,000 wherever they want. They can redeploy it with you. They can go buy a swimming pool with it. They can put it in their own deal. Doesn't matter. That money's still working for them. And it's also working for them in the prior deal, even though it's not in the deal anymore. That's what's so powerful about this model. And this model is very, very attractive to investors. And so the down payment, what if you don't want to go directly to the investors yourself? Well, guess what? There's people that will. And they'll partner with you. For a piece of the pie, they'll bring the investors. And so all these reasons and all these obstacles, they can be solved, they can be overcome, and there is a way. I'm not going to tell you there is no way. There's always a way, and the way might be easier than you think it is. So if this is something that is attractive to you, if you want to plug into a room that has loan sponsors, that has capital raisers, that has investors, that has partners, that has deal flow, that can train you and mentor you and get you on track to close your first deal in 2024, hit me up. Just shoot me a DM on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, or go to mfmim.com. My First Million in Multifamily is what that stands for, but mfmim.com. There's a little video, it talks about the deal room, how much it costs, how you can apply, and we'll jump on the phone with you. Hear about your situation. Where are you at with real estate now? Where are you trying to go? Will this program work? Can it help you? Or is this not the right fit for you? But you'll get a chance to talk with me or Yaden and see if this is something that could work for you to get you your first deal in 2024. So have a great week, guys. I appreciate you listening. Hopefully this expanded your mind on the BRRRR model concept. It's the same thing. It's just expanded. And in a lot of ways, it is easier, more effective, and more scalable. All right, guys, have a great week and unlock your life. Peace.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.